Hi friends, welcome to Knowledge Share. Happy New Year. This is my first video for this year. Today in this video we are gonna see how you can restrict site contents or any other pages for internal or external users. So let us see how I have achieved this. I hope many of you had concerns for external, mostly on the external users. For example, if the external users have access to the site, and of course they will have only access to only libraries, list, only read access. But if you specifically want those external users not to see a specific library or list, then this solution will come as a hands-on for you. So let us see how the solution works. This is my demo site, and this is the settings list. If you see the list, I have three key values. One is the home page. So the page where your users will be redirected if they access any list or page which are not supposed to access. And next is the restrict pages. So here you can give any keywords or any other page name as a comma separated value. So here what I have given as test site assets. So whenever the user logs in or whenever he or she try to go to this page or this library, suddenly the extension will check the access and then it will redirect them to this home page. So I have allowed only Lee. The username is Lee. Only this user is allowed to access these things. Even I have logged in as Sudarshan. So I'm not allowed to access the site assets. So let us see how it works. So for example, I have logged in as Sudarshan, and when I try to access site assets, so automatically it will check the access. It will just redirect to the configured page. So if I try to go in again, for example, site contents, and if I try to access site assets, see, there is a dialog which will check for access and then it will redirect back to the home page. So in case if you want to configure any other libraries or pages, you can directly give the page name or the library name. For example, for now I have access to this style library. I'll just copy this library name. I'll go to the settings list, edit the item, and add this library and then save. So once it is done, if I go to the site style library here, when I refresh this, so automatically it will restrict. So if you want to allow the user, then go to the RP allowed users, add the username. So for example, I will replace Lee with my username. I'll save it. Now if I go to the site contents, I can click on site assets. It is allowing. I'll just go back. I'll click on style library. It's allowed. This is a very simple extension, but it will be very helpful for many of the customers who need to restrict access to specific list or libraries for both internal and external users. There are many ways you can restrict the access via giving the permission, but that permissions will be applied to all the list, or you need to break the inheritance for the list, which might not be the requirement, or you need to globally declare the permission levels, or there are some other practice some other developers are using, like identifying the style of the gear symbol or identifying the site contents and then hiding it from the users. And also some of them, what they can do is they can just enable, they can just use script editor web part, SPFx script editor web part, and they can hide it. Or they will be using the hidden list, like setting the hidden value for the list to true so that the list may not be available. So in that case, even for the internal admins, right, they have to directly go to the links. but the extension which I have made is very user friendly and it is very easy to configure. Let us see how I have achieved this. I will walk you through the code. If you see the code here, I have created a application customizer extension. I am using 1.18.0 SPFx generator version 1.18.0, and I have used a couple of other packages like PNP-SP, PNP logging for log and also for communication with SharePoint. PNP is a patterns and practice library developed by the community, which will be very helpful to communicate with SharePoint. And I have used SPFx navigation, which is developed by Elio for redirection. So if we use normal window.location.redirect, the entire page will be redirected. But this plugin will help you to redirect only a specific content, so that it's like a .NET. In .NET, we used to call it as master page, child page. So when we redirect, only the content will be redirect. All the other placeholders, whichever is available in the master page, will remain the same, so that it will not be loaded again. So the same way, this SPFx navigation will help to navigate in this SharePoint Online. So the next is pnp-config.ts file. This is a global configuration file where I have got the context of the SPFx, and then I have created a SP variable. So this is the setup, initial setup of the PNP library, and I'll be using only the webs, list and items. Whichever objects you are trying to use it, you can just import it here. This is called as a selective imports. Next is the helper file. I have created a helper file where in this file there are a couple of methods. Get settings. So this method will be used to get the configuration value. And I haven't used catch for this, but I have a plan to use catch. So maybe for each and every page, the extension will be loaded. So in order to reduce the transactions again and again for each and every page, if you think that the settings won't be changed, it will be changed only on a rare basis, then you can add it into a catch, and then from the catch you can get the settings. So it will increase the performance and also it will reduce the transaction to the list for each and every page. So when I commit the code, I'll develop the catch mechanism and then I will commit the code so that you guys can leverage on the catch functionality also. The next is get value from array. So the three values, I'll be getting the three values on the whole from the settings. So in order to separate the values from the array and then check in the if condition, I'll be using this method. And next is open URL. Open URL is the one which I am using it for redirecting. When the user is not allowed to view this page, suddenly it has to redirect to the home page. So that is taken care by this method. Next is redirect to home. This is the React component where you can see I have declared a SP context and current user property. So SP context is for communication to SharePoint, and current user is to check whether the configured username matches with the current username or not. And if you see the model props and dialog content props, these are all the dialog settings. And if you come to an actual code, so this code I have changed from the class component to React hooks. And here I am using the custom hook use helper and I am just getting the methods. And I am just declaring a state value for showing and hiding the dialog. So this is a function for closing the dialog. And this is the main function, check for redirect. So this function, what it does is, it will get the settings and it will store the each individual values in a separate variable, and then it will check for the pages. Since the pages is comma separated, So we need to check whether this page is there or not. So in order to get the page, I'll be using the path name. So window.location.path name will be the full path of the URL, and from that path, if the page name or any other keyword exists, then I'll check for whether the users are allowed or not. If the current user is in the allowed users list, I will just close the dialog, or else I will just close the dialog and then redirect the user to the home page. So this function is called on the useEffect. Using the useEffect method, this function is called when the extension is loaded. And this is the dialog where I am just showing the spinner with a label checking for access. The next is the actual application customizer file, where I have declared the SP5. SP5 means SPFx context factory. So where I have declared the SP5 variable and also header placeholder. So this is the render method where it will search whether the placeholder is available or not. If the placeholder is available, then what it will do is it will render the redirect to home component, and it will pass the property, the current SP factory property and the current user login name. And on the onInit method, I am just getting the context for the PNP variable using the current context. So this getSP is the method which will be used from the configuration pnpconfig.ts file. So it will get the PNP context, and we need to trigger this. We need to add this changed event to this dot start react render. So this dot start react render is the one which will be called whenever the placeholder is registered, and on dispose is whenever the page is redirected or we are moving from one page to another page, then this component will be unmount on disposed. This is the entire application customizer code. So I'll check in this code and I will update the repo URL in the video description. I would like to share some tips. It may not be a tip, it may be a issue fix. So when I was developing this extension, I have faced some issues. So let me clarify those issues, so it might be helpful to a few of them who had experienced the same. So when you start building the extension, so those React and React DOM dependencies won't be there, but you will be able to create the TSX file and then you can deploy. But when you try to run the extension, right, there might be an error saying cannot load the extension, or the ID is undefined. There are few issues which might come. So it's better if you are creating a separate component for React, and if you are using React or React DOM, try to install React or React DOM explicitly. Try to install those modules. And there is one more issue. If you are trying to use PNP for transactions, right, or any other HTTP client, then for extension alone, it is better you need to install this module at Microsoft/SP HTTP. So these are all the three modules which are required to fix that issue. So the second tip is, I have experienced a strange issue. So where I have a solution with a lot of web parts and it's been deployed. Suddenly there is a requirement to add an extension, and I created an extension, and when I try to test, it works perfectly. But when I deploy, the extension was not triggering, and I was not able to get what is expected. So I have searched for many solutions, but the simple solution is for every extension or every web part SPFx project, there is a feature which will be added, like old method of development where when we develop a visual web part for on-premise, there will be a feature associated with the visual web part. So likewise, Even for SPFx web part or extension, there is a feature associated with it. So you can find the feature details in the config package solution.json, where if you see here, this is a feature. So when you deploy this SPFx solution, right, automatically this feature will be deployed and it is automatically activated. So in case if your deployment is fine, all the web parts are working fine, and if your extension is not working, then try to find this feature, deactivate and activate it. It should work. So the feature can be found from the site settings, manage site features, and if you see, you can see the features. And this is very simple fix. You can deactivate it and then activate it. I promise the extension will start working. So that's it. I hope some of you had learned something new and you can leverage the solution. So the source code is available. It is free. You can download the source code. You can make your changes. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.